Hello. Welcome to this module discussing how to prepare the Focal One for a customer-centered, tailored test drive. By the end of this module, you will learn the system components and accessories required to deliver a world-class test drive. Next, you'll learn the steps to preparing the system to deliver a test drive to a customer. During additional modules, you will be introduced to the workflow steps for an impactful test drive. In summary, the success of a test drive depends on meticulous planning and coordination. Confirm system availability, check the van's schedule, coordinate with the driver, communicate with loading dock personnel, and align with the logistics team. By following these steps, you can minimize potential hiccups and ensure that everything runs smoothly from the moment the system arrives at the institution to the completion of the demonstration. When it comes to our test drives, leaving nothing to chance is paramount. Remember, apart from peer-to-peer events, this is one of the most impactful validation events in our arsenal. Reach out to a colleague or leader to discuss your pre-call plan. Seek their insights to identify blind spots and craft a compelling story that will resonate with the customer. Addressing potential objections. During your preparation discussions, don't shy away from addressing potential objections and strategize on how to handle them effectively. This proactive approach can significantly influence the outcome of the demonstration. Avoid showing up at the hospital just minutes before the demonstration. Arrive with ample time to spare so that you can smoothly move the system into place, set it up, and conduct a simulated procedure. This practice run allows you to ensure that all components are functioning correctly and gives you the opportunity to troubleshoot any issues beforehand. Troubleshoot in advance. Remember, it's much easier to troubleshoot and resolve any technical or logistical challenges before the demonstration, rather than in front of an impatient customer. Being proactive in addressing potential hiccups can enhance the overall customer experience. Recognize that having a detailed plan, accounting for all variables, and being well prepared with a tailored presentation is arguably more critical than the demonstration itself. Your preparation sets the stage for success. Begin by locating the power panel on the back of the system, securely fastening the power cord to the power panel. Ensure a stable power source by connecting distal end of the cord to a dedicated circuit. Carefully insert the probe into its support and lock it securely in place. Next, connect the two ultrasound connectors on the side of the system. Press the green LED button on the front while double-checking that the emergency stop is not activated. Slide the working tables into their designated positions. The system password is Mobla123. Put the gallo up into position. You'll use generic patient information to populate the required fields. Additionally, it's important to note the Universal Focal Pack code, which is 223 Yankee Tango 5 November 5. Begin by carefully removing the probe cover. This step is essential to access the probe for balloon installation. Remove the cover from proximal to distal, rotating the proximal end of the probe protector up and angled towards the transducer. Take great care to not touch or damage the transducer. To reattach the probe, place the cover on the distal end of the probe first and use a pole vault-like maneuver to gently put the cover over the probe. Take the balloon out of its pouch and unroll it over the treatment probe, making sure to stretch it as far down the probe as possible. Avoid any folds in the balloon during installation, as this can impact the procedure's effectiveness. Stretch the balloon with your left hand to ensure it is properly prepared. Place 2 to 3 rubber bands at the proximal end of the balloon to securely hold it in place. This step ensures that the balloon remains in position during the procedure. Attach the ligature to the balloon, holding it with your left thumb. While maintaining this grip, remove a part of the ligature adhesive. Stretch the ligature by pulling with your right hand and carefully encircle it around the probe, being careful that you do not cover the black transducer. To complete the attachment of the ligature, move it slightly towards the body of the probe. At the end of the ligature, create a tab. This tab facilitates the easy removal of the ligature at the end of the treatment. Let's walk through the essential steps for focal pack installation, ensuring a clear and reliable process. Start by placing the exchange pouch into the cooling unit. Pass the clear exit tubing into the pump, making sure to seat the tube as far down into the channel as possible. Failure to do so could result in the pump hinges and locks perforating the tube. Then connect the syringe to the bubble trap, make sure it is airtight. Hang the ablasonic fluid from the gallows, making it easily accessible and ready for use when needed. Use the perforator to spike the ablasonic fluid pouch, making sure the clamp is closed so as not to spill ablasonic fluid all over the system. Now connect the two tubes to the endorectal probe. The blue tube cycles cold ablasonic fluid into the balloon to keep the rectum cool. The clear tube returns the warm fluid to the cooling unit. These connections cannot be misaligned, just make sure they are finger tight. Ensuring proper balloon inflation is critical for a successful procedure. Let's break down this process step by step. Begin by unclamping the tube to fill the balloon, allowing half of the ablasonic fluid to flow into it. On the Focal One screen, select Next Step. This action aligns the system for the next stage of the procedure. Start the pump to facilitate the flow of ablasonic fluid. This ensures a consistent and controlled delivery of the fluid during the procedure. Employ the syringe to pull air from the balloon while being vigilant to ensure that the bubble trap remains filled with ablasonic fluid. Keeping the bubble trap filled is crucial for preventing any air from entering the treatment area. Use your finger to gently guide any bubbles in the circuit towards the exit. This step guarantees that the fluid circulating in the system is free from air bubbles, ensuring the procedure's accuracy. Continue running the pump until all bubbles are completely removed from the circuit. If there is more than 10 minutes until the procedure begins, turn the pump off. Just before the procedure commences, briefly run the pump to ensure proper fluid flow, and then stop it. At this point, the balloon should be slightly inflated, and the bubble trap should be completely filled with ablasonic fluid. This ensures that the system is primed and ready for the procedure. Now let's discuss how to properly set up the phantom for a simulation. Take your time on this step and ensure the phantom is secured and in the optimal position to insert the probe. This step can be a showstopper if done incorrectly. Start by carefully removing the phantom from its box and draining any excess fluid. This step ensures that the phantom is ready for use. Confirm that the phantom you are using is specific to HIFU procedures. This is crucial to ensure that the setup accurately simulates real-world conditions. The label on the phantom should be facing away from the system. Position the phantom so that the rectal opening is on the front of the holder, facing away from the tall hinge. Proper alignment is essential for an accurate simulation. Secure the phantom in the holder using the provided 3 screws. Place the phantom, now secured in the holder, onto the mount. Confirm that the phantom holder and mount are securely fastened and cannot move. This stability is critical for a reliable and accurate simulation. It is now time to position the probe for the procedure. It's important to have the probe aligned to the center of the working space, directly in front of the anorectal verge. The probe will be in optimal placement if it can enter the patient along the y-axis with as little movement along the x-axis or angulation. Begin by draining the balloon until it is approximately 3/4 empty. This step ensures that the balloon is at the appropriate level for insertion. Apply ultrasound gel from the focal pack kit to coat the balloon. This step facilitates smooth insertion and minimizes discomfort for the patient. Release the manual control using the keypad and carefully position the probe in the center of the workspace, and the probe is positioned at the opening of the phantom. Proper positioning is essential for accurate and effective treatment. Inflate the balloon by unclamping the ablasonic liquid clamp. When the phantom's rectum is sufficiently dilated, clamp the tube. Move the probe holder forward and backward along the longitudinal axis to preview the entire prostate and ultrasound images and check for any barriers to the treatment such as gas or calcification. Place the probe in the middle of the prostate. With the help of the rotation and translation software buttons, position it to face the area to be treated. In this case of left hemiablation, the probe must face the lobe to be treated and centered in the middle of the rectum. To get the probe far enough from the rectum, angle the probe holder on the anteroposterior axis and place the orange dotted line on the rectal wall. Once the probe is in the correct position, perform the prostate scanning. For this, manually place the probe above the bladder neck and select the endpoint called upper limit. Then, with the software arrow button, move the probe below the apex and select the second endpoint called lower limit. During scanning, the probe scans the prostate along the longitudinal axis between the 2 endpoints to create an ultrasound volume of the prostate. The recorded volume is displayed on 2 windows, a transversal view and a longitudinal view. The sliders on these 2 windows allow the measurement of the prostate volume. The yellow lines allow the user to scroll through the longitudinal and transverse images. The green lines are the limits of the prostate volume measurement. The area to be treated has now to be defined in longitudinal axis positioning 3 limits, a L and U. A representing the apex is the benchmark of the treatment. Place it as close as possible to the anatomic apex. L is the lower limit of treatment, which means the first slice to be treated on the apex side. And U is the upper limit of the treatment, which means the last slice to be treated on the bladder neck side. By utilizing both the transversal and longitudinal views, this will help accurately place the slider. Once L and U are defined, the Focal One software automatically cuts the prostate into slices 1.7 mm in thickness between L and U. The area to be treated must now be defined in the transversal axis, slice by slice. First, click on Auto Detect Rectum. Make sure the orange line is directly on the rectal wall. Now select Contour Lesion. To define the target area, use the left mouse button to trace and define the contours of the target area. As you do this, you're essentially drawing or outlining the specific region of interest within the software or imaging system. It's important to place as few blue dots using the left mouse bottom as possible. Using too many dots will make it more challenging to adjust the plan. Further, it would result in a system crash if the contour loops back on itself. To save your work, close the circuit by pressing the right mouse button. After you have defined the treatment area on the first slice, the system will automatically populate the treatment area on each additional slice. To adjust the treatment area, click on the blue dots and drag the dot to a more suitable area. Use the mouse wheel to shift the entire treatment area. When you have completed this step, the system will be ready to deliver the treatment for your test drive. Now, please review the module outlining the steps to complete the fusion process before the customer comes into the demonstration.